This is where barriers are broken. This is where records are set. This is the edge of what we're capable of. Every milestone in aerospace history has seen these skies. This is where we stood on the shoulders of giants and saw the future. To fly faster, longer, and safer. To make our warriors stronger and our enemies tremble. Our mission is test. Our goal is to find the unknown. And we go further. We set the standard. We are innovators. We will not accept the status quo. The warfighter depends on us to be agile, responsive, and accurate. Our success is theirs. Before aircraft leave the ground, before weapons find their mark, there is test. A community of professionals chasing excellence in all we do. Every member of our team serves. Each play a part in accomplishing this test mission. We brought the F-35 to operational capability. We modernized the fleet to fly for years to come. We tested radar systems to precision. We made airdrops more efficient, parachutes more dependable, airmen safer. Test pilots are trained here. Airframes are developed here. Autonomous flight is a reality. Every day we achieve more than yesterday. Flight test is the first step. The mission expands and our dynamics grow. The future is on its way at hypersonic speed. Our work is never finished. The sky was the limit, but not anymore. We are the 412th Test Wing. This is where barriers are broken. This is where records are set. This is the edge of what we're capable of. Every milestone in aerospace history has seen these skies. This is where we stood on the shoulders of giants and saw the future. To fly faster, longer, and safer. To make our warriors stronger and our enemies tremble. Our mission is test. Our goal is to find the unknown. And we go further. We set the standard. We are innovators. We will not accept the status quo. The warfighter depends on us to be agile, responsive, and accurate. Our success is theirs. Before aircraft leave the ground, before weapons find their mark, there is test. A community of professionals chasing excellence in all we do. Every member of our team serves. Each play a part in accomplishing this test mission. We brought the F-35 to operational capability. We modernized the fleet to fly for years to come. We tested radar systems to precision. We made airdrops more efficient, parachutes more dependable, airmen safer. Test pilots are trained here. Airframes are developed here. Autonomous flight is a reality. Every day we achieve more than yesterday. Flight test is the first step. The mission expands and our dynamics grow. The future is on its way at hypersonic speed. Our work is never finished. The sky was the limit, but not anymore. We are the 412th Test Wing.
Sure, if you want to just sit down, we'll test you there.
Test is the way.
This is where barriers are broken. This is where records are set. This is the edge of what we're capable of. Every milestone in aerospace history has seen these skies. This is where we stood on the shoulders of giants and saw the future. To fly faster, longer, and safer. To make our warriors stronger and our enemies tremble. Our mission is test. Our goal is to find the unknown. And we go further. We set the standard. We are innovators. We will not accept the status quo. The warfighter depends on us to be agile, responsive, and accurate. Our success is theirs. Before aircraft leave the ground, before weapons find their mark, there is test. A community of professionals chasing excellence in all we do. Every member of our team serves. Each play a part in accomplishing this test mission. We brought the F-35 to operational capability. We modernized the fleet to fly for years to come. We tested radar systems to precision. We made airdrops more efficient, parachutes more dependable, airmen safer. Test pilots are trained here. Airframes are developed here. Autonomous flight is a reality. Achieve more than yesterday. Flight test is the first step. The mission expands and our dynamics grow. The future is on its way at hypersonic speed. Our work is never finished. The sky was the limit, but not anymore. We are the 412th Test Wing.
Hello everyone, happy Friday. Happy Cinco de Mayo 2023. Brigadier General Matt Heiger here, broadcasting to you live from the studios at the Center of the Aerospace Testing Universe, joined, as I frequently am, by our Command Chief Master Sergeant, Denisha Ward-Swanigan. Chief, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, we have another loaded broadcast for you here today. Lots of great stuff, lots of awesome people, and we desperately look forward to also dialoguing with you in virtual land. So if you want to get something to us or from us, or have any other type of things that you want to push at us, the number across the bottom of the screen that you'll see multiple times during the broadcast is area code 707-412-8922. Again, that number 707-412-8922. Comments, critiques, questions, information, anything that you want to get to us or from us. If we don't have an answer right away, we can usually phone a friend and get a lot of those answered by the end of the broadcast. If we don't have it by then, leave us your contact information if you're willing, and we will get it back to you. And if it's something that we think needs a broader audience, we can get that back to the broader audience in a later town hall. So with that, Chief and I are joined on camera right now by two Warriors of the Week.
Yes.
So let's see their bright, shining, smiley, happy faces. They're smiling. There it is. All right. Welcome, you two. Happy Friday. Glad you're here.
Happy Friday, sir.
All right. So I said it right before the cameras rolled. Lieutenant Bernabe.
Yes, sir.
I got it?
Burnaby, but yes, sir.
I messed up again. Yes, you can call me Higger for the rest of the broadcast. All right. Glad you're here. I want you to brag on what you did, and I know that humility is a part of what you are. But brag a little bit about what you and the team did down at South Base for fitness. And then while you're doing that, Tech Sergeant Griffin's going to talk about inspections and what he's doing on a Rockstar IGI team. And I'll cue up the difference between IGI and IGQ a little bit, because not all IGs are the same. So you're the good IG, not the potentially not good IG.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Okay. All right. So we'll let the LT go first.
Yeah.
So my first question for you is, what do you go by? What do they call you down at the 419th?
I just go by Tori, sir.
Tori. Okay. Tori. Glad you're here. I'm thrilled you're on the team.
Thanks.
As for those of you that don't know, I've already offered the LT to swap grades, jobs, and paychecks, and she rightfully declined. That's a very good decision. So I commend you for your great your decision capability there.
Thank
so
you.
talked about what you're doing for fitness down at South Base.
Definitely. So starting back in October, my commander came to me and wanted to kind of revamp and remake a South Base gym for us, which is really cool. His main goal down at pretty much South Base is to kind of just improve the well-being of everyone down there. And so one of the things that he wanted to do was to revamp the South Base gym. So we had to work with FSS, the facilities, and work with our business lead to make it happen. So we are very close to the finish line, but hopefully we'll have all our new equipment in there in the next coming months.
Do we have the pictures that we can show? I got a couple on her chart. Do we have them? I want to go start working out in the Silent Sting gym is what it looks like.
Yes, sir.
How have you worked the whole time at South Base? You've been at Edwards?
Oh, yes, sir.
For those of you that haven't spent a lot of time at Edwards, or that are at main base and don't spend a lot of time on South Base, I have a good estimate, but what's the drive time from where we are right now to your office?
I would say it takes like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think you're being generous. I think it's a solid 15 to 20.
Yeah.
And so when you get 90 minutes, an hour, maybe even 2 hours, driving 40 minutes to get to main base, let alone get over to the gym here on main base is a big loss of time. So having that capability down in Bomberland, as they call it, even there's more than bombers there, is such a huge capability. So what led you to do that other than your Epic said go do?
I think it's just I like working out, and I think it's just super important to have a good gym, and it's all what we need to train for. I think I'm also the PTL of the squadron, so I think it's very important to make sure everyone is up to fitness, up to standard at all times. So
sweet. And you said 21 commissioning, 21.
Yes, sir.
Your group. You got a big. You know what you're doing in very soon, with both your pay raise and your promotion and all that stuff. You got a plan?
No, sir.
No. All right. Talk to me after. I think we have something that we can potentially drop in on you. All right, Chief.
We're moving on, or we're sticking?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So up next, we're gonna hear from Sergeant Griffin from Wing Inspections.
Yes.
Can you give us a little, peek behind the curtain as to why you're here and what got you nominated as the Warrior of the Week?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm the NCOIC of Wing Inspections. I also work with an amazing team in the Installation Exercise Planning Office. So everything that has to do with the base exercises, we do the planning, we work with the wing inspection teams, we do the planning meetings for those, and we make the exercises as realistic as possible so that we can make sure that we're ready and everyone's in compliance with that. We just got finished with a vertical inspection, as well as trying to keep a lot of the WIT team in compliance as far as give more units, more WITs to be able to fight some of those deficiencies and et cetera. We also had the deputy IG that was kind of tackling a lot of tasks. So we took that unit reserve coordinator job from her and kind of simplified it, since I had a little experience with that in the security forces realm, and worked that piece so that she could focus more on the complaint side and the inspection and the overall command of the unit.
Nice. Well, we just came from an event, didn't we, sir?
We did, yeah. We really did. So the event
fitting.
that Chief and I, this is a perfect alignment. So I'll talk real quick about IGI and IGQ for those of you that aren't aware, and then I'll let you hit on where we were less than an hour ago. When you hear in an Air Force discussion, you hear IG, a lot of people think about fraud, waste, and abuse or other go talk to the IG kind of things. The IG house, so to speak, is broken up into two parts. I won't say two halves, but it's broken up into two parts. The part that you would go talk to if you are concerned about something is IGQ, or the complaints division, and that's at all levels, wing/installation on up to Department of the Air Force. And we have IGQ teams here, and anyone that does have the IG badge, next time you see the camera flash, make sure you show them flash the badge. Anyone that has that can certainly you can approach, and they'll hand you off to the right person if they're not an IGQ. So you don't need to decipher it, but that's one of the things, and that's what most people think about when they think IG. But what our Warrior of the Week here, sitting to my right, is the inspections and exercises, and that's IGI. They are the ones that keep a wing exercise schedule, and sometimes exercises are inspections, and sometimes we combine them, and other times they're just exercises. And they're also the ones that coordinate or coordinated recently with our higher headquarters for the sampling from AFMC or Air Force Test Center on how we are doing. But it's no longer, as Chief talked about earlier today, it's no longer one big bang every 4 years. It's a continuous inspection process that is designed to be unit-led or unit-driven, and then the higher headquarters shows up and just says, "Hey, how you doing?" And so we kind of just had a "Hey, how you doing" moment.
Yes, sir.
So, Chief, we want to hit on that real fast, and then we'll go back to our two warriors
Yes,
and see what questions they have for us.
Right. We had the pleasure of holding a what do we call them? Commanders Appreciation and Recognition event. So CARE is the acronym, where we recognized our unit effectiveness inspection, most valuable players, MVP.
Yeah, so outstanding teams, individual outstanding performers.
Yes, outstanding performers.
We had 3 people that were coined by the AFMCIG,
Yes.
giving them a little extra shout outs.
So we had opportunity to, basically prove that what you do actually is effective and it works, you know, and across the base, everybody is diligently working to make sure that we are in compliance as an installation or as a wing, and I think we did really well. And so I was proud to be part of that team, leading in the major graded area of leading people. And we all had to work together, and yeah, it was a good outcome.
It really was, and the thing that my mantra going into that, as we were prepping into it, was, I just want the AFMC team to see how we do business here every day, and not every day is every day, but we don't need to do any special spin-ups or anything else, right? Just come let us see what we're doing. The window for effective is a pretty large window,
yes.
And in all 4 of the major graded areas, I got the impression, they'll never tell us the exact score, but you got a lot to be proud of, Sergeant Griffin, in that we hit what I believe to be above average in all 4 of the major graded areas in the effective window overall. And in the executing mission, I think the quote from the outbrief was, the only reason you didn't get highly effective is that the higher headquarters resource adequacy is marginally effective. And if you had the resources, you would just be rocking it in
Right.
mission execution. And that's just such a great balance, because it says we didn't over prepare, that we're equally or properly balancing risks, and a huge part of that is because of folks like Sergeant Griffin and the team at IGI and everybody that works with you on the WITs and other things like that. So LT, if you're interested in learning more about that or doing more about that, WIT is a real deal and it's a good stuff, and vice versa. And if you'd like to hear what it's like to be a non-rated aircrew on some big airplanes, I bet LT can give you a little bit more on that too. So I encourage you to talk about that. You've had a little bit of time to think about it. This is the time where we turn the table and say, what do you want to know? What questions do you have for us?
Ready?
I can go ahead, yes. So being so far in your careers and being close to retirement, Chief, do you guys have any like inspirational words or any feedback that you would give any young airman or young officer, like any word of advice, I guess, for us?
Well, inspirational is going to be determined by you, but
Yeah.
I would say feedback-wise, and I often get the opportunity to talk to our first-term airmen and, you know, all the various tiers. And one thing that I've been really harping on here in the last couple of years as I am exiting the Air Force after 25 years is that while you are assigned an Air Force career field specialty, whatever you're tasked or charged to do based on what the Air Force needs at that time, no matter what that is, no matter if you do 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter how many times you change, whether you divvy into special duties or whatever it might be, you always have to make sure that you are understanding and committed to who you are as a person and honing the skills that align with your purpose and your passion along the way. And what I've found is that I started out in the medical career field and then I transitioned into comm, now cyber, and I had the opportunity even after that to retrain again, cross-train again, which I didn't actually follow through with that one, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many career fields I would have served under. I still have to always be centered back on my core of who I am in order to be fulfilled. We can't wait on the Air Force to give us a job or a location that's going to fulfill us. We have to get our own fulfillment in doing what we're purposeful, what our purpose is aligned with, and what we're passionate about. And I think sometimes people kind of lose track of that along the way because the Air Force is going to make sure that it does everything for you. We'll tell you where to be, where to go, what time. I mean, if you wanted to, you could just rely on the Air Force to just give you this roadmap, if you will, and you never really have to dig deep into who you are. And I hope a lot of people recognize it if they're not doing that, because you got to do both of those at the same time. And I'll cut it there because it's really a long-winded answer,
Yeah.
but long story short, know who you are and cultivate and hone those things while you're serving in whatever capacity.
So many ways I can answer that question, right? I can say amen to what Chief just said, right? And I couldn't agree more with that. I can reference you to many retirement speeches are a charge to the generation, especially the youngest ones in the room or in the audience. Hey, I've done 2+ decades of this. Now it's your turn. right? There's a whole bunch of messages in and around those. I think you are in a service, you are both in a service that is very, very core to what makes us very, very good at being agile and innovative and updating. And that goes back to our founding, right? If you go back and look at why we had airplanes in combat and why we became a U.S. Air Force, think about Billy Mitchell, right? A new way to sink ships, right? Oh, that'll never work, and you know what, it did. And I think that type of, it's just baked into our DNA. But we are core to our core values, right? Those have been very enduring over time and served individuals and units and teams very, very well. And there's a whole bunch more that I'd love to chat with you about that. Chief would love to chat with you about that. When every retirement ceremony you can attend, go attend and listen and take stuff out of that. Not for yours, in your case 20 plus, and yours a decade or more, but hey, that means a lot and that makes a lot, and I'll make sure I pay that forward. So those are my initial thoughts too. Good question. You sure you don't want to trade?
No, sir.
Okay, still a good decision. How about you, Sergeant Griffin?
Ooh, you ready for this one, sir?
I don't know. Hit me.
All right. So.
I mean, don't hit me, but.
Okay. Well, right now I'm working with some amazing people on this base with the private orgs, and we're partnering with the STEM coordinator to get after some innovative ideas on base. So my question is, what would be your vision to see in the STEM program, specifically relating to the base personnel, the children in the elementary and high schools?
I need to wait the camera. Chief was in the room with me yesterday.
Yes.
We actually had, she's literally here this week. The Air Force School Liaison Officer is here. And thank you again, Lori, for traveling all that way from San Antonio and bringing a couple of rock stars with you. We actually, at the end of our conversation with her, which was scheduled for an hour and went to 100 minutes, towards the end of that, I asked point blank, hey, did you get a chance to talk to our STEM coordinator? Did you get a chance to talk to Alita and the other organizations? What about Starbase? And they said, yes, we visited Starbase. Yours is 2 thumbs up. And I'm like, well, then you have to come back and see what we do here for STEM. And I brought in what we did at the open house. Yes, that was the Air Force's largest ever STEM event back in October, but that is not unusual in what we are able to accomplish at this installation. Alita is a huge part of that, but she can't do it by herself. Her partnering with NASA is huge. Her partnering with folks like you is gigantic. And her partnering with Starbase and other organizations on and off the installation is fantastic. So what would I envision that to be? I would love to see a very deliberate, cordial, high-functioning team of teams that are focused on the quality of the education inside classrooms that we can support on base, but also recognizing, and I'll borrow a phrase, and I think he doesn't make me pay it more than a quarter for it every time I say it, but our last vice commander, Colonel Randy Gordon, he goes by Laz, he's at Arnold now, he used to say point blank, don't let school get in the way of your education. Now, that is not an excuse to go quit school, but his point is that you are going to learn a lot in the classroom, but you can learn a ton outside the classroom. And the stuff from a STEM lane that we have available to teach kids ages 3 to 93 on this installation is limitless. And so if you're at all interested in anything tech, airplane, aerospace, I say it, the center of the aerospace testing universe, and that's not a brag, that is fact-based, right? There's just so much here in those areas. So there's a lot of opportunity, and then it's just coordinating amongst the teams and getting teachers involved and showing parents where to go and communicating well. So there's a lot there. We've covered a lot of ground with a lot of ground to go. So that's and we could spend the rest of the broadcast talking about kids and STEM in school. And Chief knows that's a true statement. So, reattacks? Or is that?
We're good, sir.
Okay. I know you got little ones that may be some STEM grower-uppers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for that, and appreciate the questions.
Yes, sir.
Any other parting shots one of you two or both of you got for us?
No, sir.
Okay. Happy Friday, you both. Thanks for doing what you do. You got about the same amount of runway behind you that I have in front of me, LT, and you're going to enjoy the ride. It's a fantastic career no matter when you decide to promote, as I will soon, back to Mr. or back to the rank of civilian. And so, Sergeant Griffin, thanks for doing what you've done, both as a defender, but also what you're doing now in a bigger way, also defending, but you're just doing this time without a weapon.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate you both. Thanks. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Okay, while they're walking off stage, I'd like to introduce our next topic. I think we do have a chart here, so if we could swap to the Employee Assistance Program, and we can meet our EAP field consultant, which is the chart, I hope. But if you're mic'd up, Dr. McVeigh, come on and join us. And if you brought a wingman, even better. So EAP, and then a broader, what do we have available for Big A airmen when you know you're not quite right? And Chief and I can talk about this personally, and have in the past and been very open about it. If you need someone to talk to, and talking to your first sergeant or your supervisor or your commander or somebody at home, or maybe if you don't cohabitate with folks, your dorm mates, things like that, there are a lot of people here that would love to talk with you. The Helping Agencies icon on desktops, on the smartphones, and you can get to it via the Air Force app, via the Edwards app. You can go to the No Wrong Door facility, which is a brand new capability that we've stood up on the installation. It's on main base. It's near Flag Park. It's near the base theater, and it's near Chapel One. So if you know where any of those things are, you can park and walk to the No Wrong Door facility. And that's where Dr. McVeigh's office is, along with a lot of the other helping agencies.
I think they're rebranding Connect to Care.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So I think I'm a young enough dog I can learn the new trick, but correct me on that, please. But yeah, so there's a lot of ways to get to that. My point in highlighting that, and I'll talk my personal story really fast, is that if you'd like to talk to somebody or think you need to talk to somebody, then you know what? You need to talk to somebody, right? Don't wait for it to turn into a crisis or a critical nature, or don't wait for it to take you off deployable status or cause problem at home with your significant other or your kids or your parents. Mm-hmm. Talk to somebody early and often. And remember, no kidding, remember that mental health is health.
That's right.
And it's okay to admit that you're not okay. I'm going to take a quick survey of the two of us on screen. Raise your hand if you've been a military OneSource client. See? It's okay, right? If the chief can do it and the boss can do it, so can you. And we happen to be uniform wearing members, but it's available to our civilians as well. So with that as the tee up, Dr. McVeigh, and I'll let you introduce Sergeant Thomas as well. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
We're glad you're here. And there's a month, but we don't just focus on one month. But we want to talk about what this month is.
Yes. We are currently, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and that's when we try to promote our services as much as possible. But EAP is so much more than counseling, and that's what I think people need to remember, is EAP offers so many services. We deal with so many different things, and what I tell people is that if you think you need it, then call the 866-580-9078 number, which is the EAP hotline number, so to speak. We're available 24/7, 365 days a year. Somebody will always answer the phone, and they will figure out what you need. If you don't know and you just want to talk to somebody, it is staffed with licensed professionals, and they will help you.
Yeah, so again, Dr. McVeigh said it. Well, if we can get it across the bottom of the screen, we will. But the number, and it's a 24/7, so EAP is not just Dr. McVeigh here locally, and you're a shop of one, right? And I bet your schedule's pretty darn packed like mine.
It is.
And that's a good thing. But if you walk in and she's not available, this number is always available 24/7, 365. It's 866-580-9078. And if we can put that up on the screen, we will. 866-580-9078. And if you're not sure about your eligibility for EAP and Employee Assistance Program, it's generally targeted at civilian employees of the military or of DOD and their families.
Yeah.
But just call. If you don't know where else to turn, and that's the number you have access to, call it. And someone will triage you and get some help there. Military OneSource is another great way to get to counseling, primarily targeted at military members, active duty military members and their families. But the two programs work side by side, hand in hand, lockstep formation, whatever your analogy is. And they're very overlapping and analogous things. And Military OneSource, when I need it, I find it, I just Google Military OneSource, the number pops up. That number is also answered 24/7, 365 days a year. There's a number for EAP on the screen. Another number, and I'll foot stomp it right now because it is Mental Health Month, and when I say if you think you need it, you need it, and it's okay to admit you're not okay before it turns into a crisis. If you are concerned about a mental health crisis, to include potential loss of life, then 988 is the number. Kind of like a 911, but just call 988. It doesn't have to be risk of, it doesn't have to be injury to self that you call 988 for you or for someone else. It's just a crisis hotline. And the consultants there are trained to deal 24/7, 365 nationwide with that. And so there's a third number or a third way to get a hold of it.
There it
so,
is. Yep.
All right. There you go. Crisis hotlines there and EAP on the line. Dr. McVeigh, you want to talk a little bit about your typical in-office hours and how long you've been here and a little bit about yourself, and then we'll pivot over to Sergeant Thomas to talk about your counterparts up the hill.
Okay.
How's that?
I have been here coming up on a year next week, which is amazing. I absolutely
happy birthday with us.
I know. I absolutely
can't believe it's been a year.
Here. I know. Me neither. So I am available either in the office, which my office hours are usually from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, but I will go later. If somebody absolutely cannot schedule during those hours, I will do it from home. We can do it via Zoom, or we can do it on the phone. So I try to make myself available to anybody. But the EAP services also include things like attorneys. If you have an issue where you want to get a will set up, we have attorneys that will do those types of things. We also have certified accountants that will help you develop a budget. So EAP is not just counseling. And we also have coaches that will coach you through things. So we're not just, EAP is not just mental health. There are a plethora of services that are available through EAP. And I really would like everybody to take the time. I know that the web address is on the app in order to get to our website, and you should go and just peruse. We've got webinars on there, anything from parenting. We can help you find contractors for your home. There are so many services available to our civilian employees, and I have to agree that if you even remotely think you need help, call the number. Somebody will be there to talk you through it and figure out, do we have services available to you?
The website, if we can't get the slide up, the website is, Google it, like Employee Assistance Program Air Force, and that'll pop it up. But the website you're looking for is www.afpc.af.mil/EAP. And that's the Air Force Personnel Center host website or portal, and then you could probably hit that site and search EAP as another way to get to it as well. But,
absolutely.
I find Dr. Google to be a good lookup mechanism for many things.
Is it Dr. Google for you? It's the Googler.
The
for me.
Googler, is that what it is? Yeah, I joke with my medical providers that I did consult with Dr. Google before meeting with you, and they chuckle a little bit, and then they say, which websites? And I'm like, I don't remember, but I read a lot, so yes. Dr. McVeigh, I'm thrilled you're here.
Thank you.
You filled some big shoes. I've got nothing but rave reviews on you stepping into that. Dr. McVeigh did highlight one thing for those of you that think, I'm not going to bother with counseling because I can never get to her office or get to the office of a mental health counselor or provider. I have done 100% of my military OneSource sessions over the last going on 3 years, never having physically been in the same space as my counselors. Mm-hmm. It's always medical Zoom, private point-to-point, and that telemed and capability because of the pandemic, post-pandemic, has been fantastic, and huge access to care issues. And I suspect you're seeing that at the mental health clinic as well. Now, there are some cases where you have to be in person once you get over to mental health, but for counseling, especially clinical counseling, hugely available and lots of options there.
Yeah, anything telehealth is just a huge game changer for me.
True, it really is. And when it's a 20-minute drive to the gate, and then 20 minutes more to any place resembling a facility, you put 3 hours back on your schedule and your day, and with your at work or your family or both. So it's super fantastic. All right, let's pivot over to Dr. McVeigh's friends up the hill.
Yes, hello, sir.
Hello.
So Sergeant Thomas, working in mental health. Just here also to promote like our services and what we do in our clinic as well. And so we focus primarily on the active duty, so we only see them. The exceptions would be for our Guard and Reserve members. They do have to be on active orders for that appointment. So that's the clientele that we serve. So we do a lot within our clinic. So we do assessments, we do triages, walk-in, and vectoring. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. We have an initiative that rolled out across the Air Force, kind of explain what that is as it does fit into what we offer in our clinic. We also do the individual and group counseling. We have medication management and also referral management, so we do have quite a bit that we offer. We also have our providers, obviously, who see patients, but then in addition, we have our mental health, behavioral health techs, and alcohol and drug counselors who also see patients, so quite a range of people. So Targeted Care is an initiative that rolled out in October across the, well, it's rolling out rather, across the Air Force for our career field. And I want to bring that up just because, again, it says is part of what we do in our clinic. So
Sorry for the eye test, folks, but if you're on a
yes.
personal device, zoom in and you can get to it.
My apologies, yeah,
No,
it's a little
it's
small. So if someone calls in or walks into the clinic requesting mental health services, they're going to meet with one of our technicians first. And what the technician is going to do is gather information about what their concerns are and what they're coming in to address. And so with that, we're going to vector them, and vector is what I'm specifically honing in on. So vectoring is, depending on what their needs are, is it best suited in specialty care, which is what we are in the mental health clinic, or would it be best addressed with one of the more appropriate resources, which I do have on that screen, and you did hit on one of those, which is Military One Source. Fantastic resource to have. Encourage everyone to definitely go on the website, because it's also more than just mental health on there. It's got a lot of different information. But yes, they do the counseling as well. And then we have our primary care behavioral health, who is a mental health provider working in the MEG group with the family health clinic. We have the MFLAC, the Military and Family Life Consultant at the MFRC. Obviously, we have the chaplains on base too. So lots of mental health resources across the base, aside from just mental health.
Yeah, let me tug on MFLACs for a little bit. Our Military Family Life Counselor is at the Military Family Readiness Center, right? I'll rename too many acronyms in one sentence. But we have additional MFLAC places and spaces that are at the schools, right? So we have 2 slots.
Yes.
And as I understood from my discussion yesterday, they are both currently filled, which is great. And so that's so there's 3 on the base, 2 dedicated for kids in the schools, and then 1 for anybody that can walk into the MNFRC.
Absolutely.
Talk real quick about mental health often has some stigmas. The mental health clinic often has some stigmas attached to it. I think we're doing a really good job of off-gassing that or destigmatizing that a lot. It helps when we have people like, the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff that most recently retired say, I was a mental health patient in the clinic, and they offered me a back door so I didn't have to be seen going in on mental health. And this 4-star general said, no, I want to be seen in the waiting room. I want to be seen walking in and out of the provider's office. I want to be seen walking in and out of there because, like many other leaders have said, it's okay to admit you're not okay.
I was a mental health patient. I have no problem admitting that. It's a health service just like anything else.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't.
And I care about my mental.
You wouldn't ask to walk in the back door at physical therapy or for your annual PHA. So it's mental health is still health. So I think we're doing a good job as a service. I don't know, Sergeant Thomas, you seeing the same trend lines as well there? And I know we have room to go, but what do you assess of that trend?
Sure. So, great question. And so, stigma is always something that mental health has, right? And we're always working to, address that. And what you said, and what you said as well, ma'am, is, letting people know it is okay to reach out and seek those services, and it's not something to be scared of or ashamed of. We're there, and we definitely compare it to like the physical medical model as well. Like you would go receive help for pain in your leg or go into physical therapy, and so mental health is the same too. Just obviously not on the physical side. And so definitely we promote that as much as we can. We actually have 3 of our technicians who are assigned to 3 areas of the base. where they go out and spend time with them every week. So on Mondays, we have a technician assigned to the med group. So on Monday afternoons for a few hours, he walks around and talks with everyone, gets to know them, kind of build that rapport, that relationship with them so that people can feel more comfortable with mental health. We're not scary people, right? And we're there to help out.
Sorry.
And it's also their opportunity to give like that psychoeducation, coping skills and stress management and stuff like that. And so then Tuesdays is Security Forces, and the Maintenance Squadron is on Fridays. So if anyone sees the technicians out there, please, that's what they're there for. Meet with them, talk with them, ask those questions, and address, if I came and saw you guys, what would happen? And so that's a big thing with the stigma, is that it's a end-all be-all, or it's going to be a career ender. That's not it at all.
Sure.
We're there to help. We're there to help return people back to duty, to be ready for, like you said, deployment status and getting them back in there. So.
I love that comparison, ma'am. I think your point about you would go get seen for pain in your leg, and if you needed surgery on that leg, you wouldn't be able to go to work for however long your con leave says that you can't go to work. And so if you go to mental health and they discover that you need to take some time away to get your mental fixed or let your mental heal the same way you will let your leg heal, that's what it'll be. It's
Exactly.
not the end of the world. I mean,
Yes.
everything will be fine.
It doesn't get in the way of promotion. You got two people sitting on screen with you right now that can attest to that. You got many retired multi-star generals and other command chiefs that can attest to that as well. And the other item that Chief Wardswanig and I can attest to is that a lot of people are about, ooh, my security clearance. Well, candidly, like no joke, if I'm making a decision on somebody's trustworthiness, I'd rather have the person that said, you know what, I'm human, I went through some tough times, I raised my hand and said I need a little help, because that's a person that knows their limits and is willing to admit when they're having problems. It's the one that tries to repress that and deal with it all themselves, that to me is the bigger security risk.
Sure.
And the security systems and the adjudicators have way transitioned, and I've seen a really good track record the last easily 15, but probably 20 years on that. So I think that stigma is long gone, probably zombie dead. So Chief, any questions for?
I do have one question. So you mentioned that we have MFLAGs. Not only do we have them for us, but there's also some in the schools, and that is a
Yes.
service for our children, for our active duty members.
Correct.
Are there, in that wide range of services that you offer, are there any other areas where children of active duty members have access to?
Within our mental health clinic?
Yes.
Unfortunately, no. So we are just active duty, and so if they're not able to see the MFLAC and they want to go out in the community, that is an option that they would have
So you have a child that you think would benefit from some type of counseling or care. Military One Source is a legit option. If Military One Source says, outside of our scope of practice, what would you do if you're the parent of that, if you're the active duty parent of that child?
So they could go a few different routes. They could go their PCM and have that discussion, and like I said, go to that off-base entity to get that care.
Yeah, a referral from the PCM off base.
Right, and I guess that's probably the biggest one is going there and getting that. Or I believe they can just go in and go see the therapist in the community. If I am misspeaking, I do apologize to the pediatricians and the PCMs, but I do believe that is the specific way to go about that, to get them care off base.
Yeah, so the point that we were talking about here with these two ladies representing both our mental health clinic up the hill and EAP down at main base, we have care for active duty members, we have care for civilians and their families.
Yes, sir.
And we also have a gateway through primary care managers and also potentially referrals through Military One Source to off-base providers that accept TRICARE. Now, a lot of folks are quick to point out to me when Chief and I talk about this in the environment that it's really hard to get care in town.
Yes, sir.
And I'm like, it is, and that is absolutely true. We are at a mental health deficit of providers nationwide.
Yes.
And so I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that and tell you it's peachy keen, because it's not.
Yep.
But there are a lot of other places and a lot of other avenues for that you have with your dependents, and certainly as active duty and civilian big A airmen. So
Yes.
good stuff. There's a question that's popped up. So if you don't mind, I'll read it. And then this is probably for you there, Sergeant Thomas. So the question is, thank you for texting it in. What advice would you give to a supervisor who has a troop? So we're going to assume your troop is a uniform wearing person who could use your services, but the troop does not feel like they need it. Now, I will immediately rule out, as the commander on the broadcast here, that we're assuming that it isn't rising to the level of a commander-directed evaluation, which is an order to go. That's a pretty high threshold. So we're assuming that your troop is below that threshold and that the commander's not looking at that commander-directed evaluation. So between the everybody's happy and healthy and a CDE, what's your advice to a supervisor like that?
I think that's a great question. It kind of goes back into what we were talking about, like maybe they have that apprehension, or maybe it's just they're scared to talk about what they're going through. There could be so many different things going on with that specific scenario. So as the supervisor, I would definitely encourage just sitting down and giving a good chunk of time to have that conversation about, what's going on, or addressing, here's what I see, and making that the start of that. And from there, maybe talking about, do you have any apprehension to go to mental health, or any of the other entities that I had put on that slide about other mental health on base, and just kind of start from there. They may not notice those same behaviors or different things going on that the supervisor does, or maybe there's a little bit something in just having that candid conversation might be helpful to getting that started. And so from there, you just kind of have to gauge where that conversation goes, and maybe it's offering them one of those resources, or hey, do you want me to go with you to the PCBH, to the MFLAC, to the chaplain or mental health? They can't mandate them to go. It's a voluntary service, but maybe they just want that support. So a couple different ways to go about that one.
Chief, you got any experiences in that scenario?
Actually, I do not. I've been pretty fortunate in my experience, either as the person that needs help or the receiver on the receiving end of someone who needs help, for us to either resolve it within that conversation, or maybe it's a follow up and just a period of time, or the person was receptive to the recommendation and they took me up on it. So
yeah, I find that scenario is, I know this is going to sound a little odd as I connect these two, but if you look at how the teams work together, that is a quintessential example where a chaplain is your best friend and your troop's best friend. If you take do what Sergeant Thomas recommended, hey, I'll go with you. I'll try to find someone that's been there. It's literally no big deal. And if the troop is still even reticent or resistant, then you can just get a chaplain and say, hey, chaplain, I have a troop, here's the name. They would really benefit from talking to you. And chaplains are exceptionally good at finding people that they have randomly heard about, may or may not have something to talk about. And you don't have to just tell the chaplain why. You can just tell the chaplain, or even the chaplain's assistant, the religious affairs airman, that they would benefit a lot. And now they're in with a helping agency, and so they're now inside the bubble.
And chaplains are 100%
and chaplains are 100% confidential. There's a great story which I won't relay because we don't have time, but no kidding, them and your God, those are the only two people that a chaplain can talk to.
I'm glad you brought that up. There's a question on there.
Yeah, it is. It's a perfect pivot. So with that as the inviolable confidentiality, Sergeant Thomas, you want to answer that one, and then any difference for civilians from Dr. McVeigh.
And so can people read the question?
They cannot, so you have to read it.
So the question is, is what the member talks about confidential, or will it get back to their supervisor or commander? That's a great question too. So mental health is confidential, it is a voluntary service. They can walk in. We don't contact the supervisor, the commander, the first sergeant. We don't speak with any of them unless the member fills out a release of information for us to give consent to talk to them. There are a few times where we would have to speak with the commander or first sergeant, but never the supervisor, where if we had to monitor them on a weekly basis, we call that the high interest log. We would have to have contact with the commander and first sergeant, but if we ever do have to speak with them, it's only the minimum necessary information. So we're not going to give them all the details of what's going on. It's whatever the question was, we're going to answer it if that's appropriate, and keep it at that. So majority, no. Very few times we would have to have that communication. And it's just part of them being on that treatment team, coordination, and making sure that they're getting the services and resources they need.
Yeah. Dr. McVeigh will answer this question, talk about differences for civilians, but hey folks, remember, if you are receiving care at a medical facility, and mental health is a medical facility, all of the privacy protections of your personal health information apply, and HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability something Act,
Accountability
also
Act,
apply. Yes, Accountability Act. Yes, it all applies. So those are some pretty tall walls for confidentiality and limits on what they can move. Dr. McVeigh, anything you want to correct me on or add to that?
No, sir. We do not contact supervisors at all unless, again, we are given permission to do so. And I will provide a letter that says you were here on this day at this time and you left at this time. If a supervisor is requesting, that you actually did come to an appointment. Most supervisors have not requested anything. And I do want to let people know that EAP is available for the whole family. Anybody who lives in the household, that includes parents, grandparents, children. I see a lot of the teen kids that go to the school out here. So we are available for lots of people in your family. So please utilize our services.
Yeah, I want to foot stomp a couple things there. A lot of folks don't realize what care and what offers are available. And I encourage you to look before you think you need, right? Much better have the connections built before you truly need them. One of the things that I, as a patient, never having been a provider, but as a patient, I will tell the person that asked that last question, you will before you enter care with a counselor or a mental health professional, they will provide a disclosure agreement or disclosure notification of something along the lines of, hey, what we're going to talk about is completely confidential as required by X, Y, and Z, and then here are the following exceptions. And so before you talk to the provider, you'll know what their limits of confidentiality are.
Absolutely.
Dr. McVeigh and Sergeant Thomas and the providers in her clinic, just like Chief and I, for certain things are all mandatory reporters.
Yes.
Right? And there are
Yes.
different levels of mandatory reporters depending on what the thing is. But if you're looking for 100% confidentiality and you'd like to have can I talk to somebody else and still have it confidential, go talk to a chaplain. And they'll be able to get some good answers for you if you're concerned about the releasability or the confidentiality of the conversations. I find that to be a very, very, very valid and effective way to get those questions answered before the member has a regret about what they said, because we don't want that barrier to access to care.
Yes.
All right, ladies, super important topic. As always, I'm glad you're on the team. Good to see you, Dr. McVeigh.
Thank you, sir.
May is a happy month in my house for many reasons, not the least of which is that you joined us in that
Thank you.
date. Thank you very much to the whole team at Mental Health. Please pass that on our behalf as well.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate what you guys are doing for the airmen and the families here, keeping us in the fight.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right,
Thank
you two.
you so much, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Friday.
You too.
So while we're pivoting to our police week, I'd like to call up the FSS slides real quick. The FSS slides that I have with me, Chief, you want to talk through them real fast?
Sure. Do you have the one about the free churro?
I don't know. Free
Let's
churros?
see. There it was. Was that it? Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah, so here you go. Okay.
Yep, the
there you
free
go, Chief.
churro. So you get today you get a free churro with the purchase of an entree and $1 off all tequila drinks, margaritas, and Corona. That's
And
at
I'm
the
assuming
club.
that's at the club.
Yes, sir. That's at the club. What do we have next? First Friday, of course. So while you're there, take advantage of your club member incentives, I guess. If you're a club member, First Friday is always a good time.
It is, and I'm told that club membership is no longer club membership. It's like a
it's
FSS
expanded.
Insider.
Yes,
right?
you're right.
And-
It goes out beyond the club.
And so now your membership is more broadly recognized around all FSS facilities on the base as well.
That is true.
But one of those benefits of being a club member, and I am and have been for many years a member, is First Friday at the club. All right, I think there's one more.
Steam Saturday. So that's tomorrow from 1 to 3. ages 5 to 12. It's going to be at the library. They're going to be exploring, creating, and learning new things about STEM. So we were just talking about STEM, and there's an event for us.
Yeah, I'll give them a pass on adding the A at the library for kids ages 5 to 12.
Oh, STEAM, sorry.
Yeah, no,
I did it wrong.
No, you did it right.
I know STEAM is taking off, though, around some areas.
And the bottom line is, if you are interested in that, library tomorrow, 1 to 3 p.m., getting kids ages 5 to 12. And I think there's one more from FSS, and then we'll talk about some Defender love here in a second. Yes, Chief, it looks like it's something you do all the time.
It is.
Social Lounge Glow Party.
That's right up my alley, but I won't be here, so I'll miss out on the Glow Party. But that's tomorrow night at Club Muroc from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. That should be fun. And
hosted by AFSA.
Cool, the Sergeants Association
All right.
is putting it on.
I think those are our FSS advertisements. They pay Chief a healthy stipend to talk about them occasionally. All right. So there's a lot going on the installation, as you can imagine. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I like about the installation is I get to see a bright, shining face that is our thin blue line every time I drive through the gate. Often, as entry controllers can tell you, if there's nobody behind me on the line, I love to learn a little bit about the awesome airmen that are the entry controllers. Usually there's a car behind me or approaching behind me, so I make it a quick stop, but I always thank them for what they do and thank them for being on the front line. And we have a couple of those front line, blue line folks with us. So Sergeant Wright and Sergeant Haynes, thanks for being here. Yeah. But this isn't just any normal week or any normal month, it's something different. So why don't you hit us with that?
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for having us today.
Absolutely.
So, as you said, as frontline supervisors and Police Week started in 1962. It was brought together by President Kennedy, who wanted to give a memorial to all peace officers. And as the law and order element on installations, we recognize that and have Police Week. So we're having a lot of fun events.
Yeah, so like I said, your test defenders here at Edwards Air Force Base are going to have a series of events throughout that week.
Did you catch that, folks? The test defenders? I love it. Yeah.
Yep, your test defenders.
I absolutely love it. You know, about 5 years ago, one of the senior leaders on the base tried to rename your squadron the Security Forces Test Squadron. And I thought that was an innovative way to potentially tap some funds. He didn't win, but I thought it was very creative.
Yeah, for sure. So Friday we'll be having our opening ceremony. That'll be over at the ALS PT pad, the PT pad. We'll be having the Air Force Security Forces Association will be serving pancakes after for all the attendees. So, since it's gonna be early morning, might as well, get some breakfast, something early.
Pancakes at ALS.
Oh yeah. Followed by that, we'll have the golf tournament as well. So it's a $50 entry fee. That's also being hosted by AFSA as well.
What day is that one? 12
That
May.
is on the 12th May, that Friday. And then we move into Monday. Monday we will have the 5K ruck. That is led by Staff Sergeant Taylor, one of our other defenders. It's basically going to be a 4-man team. It's a relay competition style. It's giving out prizes to the top 3. The AFSA will also be having a barbecue after as well. So more food, for all the attendees and participators.
Did you give us the distance?
The distance, it'll be 2 miles.
Oh, okay. I gotta know what I'm signing up for.
Oh, no worries.
But it's more like a relay, so you can do like the first 2 mile and then they just keep going through the time frame. So
Okay.
It just adds up.
And then rolling into Tuesday, we'll have the open house, which is led by the Defenders Alliance and Staff Sergeant Wright here.
Which I'm super excited about, because yes, Police Week focuses on memorializing all of the fallen defenders, but also I wanted to bring in all of our other first responders. So out there we'll have fire, the EMTs, OSI, EOD.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, we don't do this just with police. We also do it with all of our helping agencies. So also mental health will be out there, like your previous segment, as well as other helping agencies across the base will be able to showcase what they have to offer, because we do it as a team. We come together and we help our community. So I wanted to make sure we showcase
Real
that.
heroes.
And you see that open house is on the bottom of the chart here is on the 16th, which is if I'm remembering right, a Wednesday.
It's a
Tuesday.
Sorry,
sir.
a Tuesday, and in the BX parking lot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and no joke, folks, that team of first responders, as we call them, is just an awesome team to watch work and to watch work together. When I'm driving in my car, my government car, I always have tuned up the network, and it is amazing to listen to the exercises while they're going on.
Yes.
And just to hear how detailed and how complicated the scenarios are that you guys are solving and training to, so that when or if it ever happens, it's been here, done that before.
Yep,
So
definitely
great
stay
stuff.
ready.
And I love the title. Go back to that last chart, please. No joke, folks. This is the month you love on some first responders, and I love that phrase. Real heroes don't wear capes; they wear badges, and that's a real statement. And it gives me a little chill.
Me too. I just got that.
Yeah.
And I made that flyer. I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah, that is a really, really, really important thing. So, I had once had a neighbor of ours on the street that Chief and I live on say, I have a lot of regrets about retiring from the Air Force, but one of the regrets is I will no longer live inside the nation's greatest gated community protected by the nation's greatest
That's
cops.
so real.
And her name is Anne, and she was very, very disappointed that she was going to have to not live behind your blue line anymore. And she also means the line of all those other first responders as well. So great stuff. So what else you want to push at us?
So the next day, Wednesday, we'll actually be having our Defenders Challenge, where we'll be pitting all our first responders against each other in a friendly competition. So it's going to be pretty action-packed. An action-packed obstacle course. So there'll be smoke, GVS is going off, just to kind of get the action series, I guess.
Bragging rights between the fire dogs, the
yeah.
EOD teams, and
a whole lot of
and the
bragging
defenders.
rights.
It's going to be at the squadron?
So this will be out at Camp Coram, so just past the Combat Arms building.
Okay.
So out in that little desert area we have going on out there. So we have the land to use it, might as well use it.
That's fantastic.
And then Thursday we'll be having our Family Appreciation Day out at Plant 42. So our detachment out at Plant 42 will be having a Family Appreciation Day where they'll have bouncy houses, food, music, snow cones. Pretty much just a day for family and friends to kind of get together, unwind throughout the week, kind of get the family together, just enjoy and spend that time together. And then as well as that, on Thursday we'll be having our Cops and Coffee at the Starbucks. We don't have a flyer for that yet, but we have our Cops and Coffee at the Starbucks, where we have a panel of our patrolmen and a personnel from our reports and analysis to kind of give the base kind of just information on our trends and analysis on the base, like the types of tickets we're seeing, the trends and crimes that we're seeing on base. Pretty much just time for the public to kind of ask patrolmen and cops and just kind of just those questions they don't really get to get, other than getting pulled over, kind of what I pulled you over for.
Yeah.
Do you know how fast you were going?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, two questions that I know I can already answer. Hey, is it okay to use my non-hands-free phone on the base? I know the answer is no. And the other one, hey, how many miles over the limit is acceptable on the base? And I know the answer too. And the answer is none, right? And we got data to back that up. I'm pretty excited about that panel. That should be pretty cool.
That's gonna be,
And I encourage you to do that. The slide that was up there was your closing ceremony after what we would normally call Police Week, but we've kind of made it a little bit more inclusive, right, in a Memorial Week. But go ahead, chat about the closing ceremony real fast.
So the closing ceremony will actually be at 1300 to 1400, kind of be more accommodating for a lot of people's schedules throughout the day. I know, like I said, this week is going to be a busy week for everybody, so we're going to push it up to accommodate for a lot more people to actually attend that, because it'll be a good time for us to all come together as a squadron, a base, a wing, to pretty much just pay homage to our fallen defenders throughout that time.
Yeah, folks, I tell you, if you can only attend one of these, this is the one that I would recommend you attend, although you should try and hit multiples. There are literally people that put their life on the line every time they mount up, and it's our defenders. And sometimes they end up paying the ultimate sacrifice, even in garrison and even at home. And that's true for all law enforcement, but it is no less true for our defenders. So that's an important ceremony. We remember their sacrifice and their family's loss. Now, that's a lot of charts and a lot of information. When you guys are 100% happy that the charts are exactly as you want them, let PA know and we'll hang it on the portal. So folks, if you want to get those or pass it on, edwards.af.mil, www.edwards.af.mil, it'll be on the portal certainly by Monday and well in advance of your Memorial Week. Thanks you two for joining us. on this Cinco de Mayo Friday. And thanks as always for what you do. And please take on our gratitude back to the teams that are a little bit more kitted up than you two are right now out on the line. I've seen like 20 defenders today. None of them had kit on. I think that's got to be the most defenders I've seen in one day without their gear on, maybe ever. So it's kind of nice to see you dressed down a little bit. That's,
feels
It's
good.
good to see you relax.
It feels awkward. Doesn't it? Because you get so used to carrying the weight, so when it's not there, you're like, something's missing.
Yeah. Well, you handle it well. So
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you both. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for leading this.
I appreciate you guys having us.
All right, great. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Okay, folks, we're rounding the last corner. We've talked through a couple topics here. Our Warriors of the Week, awesome, always inspirational. Remember, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. Not just this month, but this is a month to focus on it. We heard from Dr. McVeigh at EAP and Tech Sergeant Thomas from the Mental Health Clinic. We also just got done talking about Memorial Week, which we would traditionally know as Police Week and all the events going on. That's a great committee setup. Chief, that is, I think, one of the best seen to dates committees, and how often or how reliably well planned and coordinated and set up and advertised they are.
They always bring it.
They really do, and I encourage you to pass on to your friends, family, coworkers, and anybody else that's interested. Go see it and go spend time. That open house at the BX would be really cool to get to. And then got a couple ads from FSS, primarily around Cinco de Mayo today, and I think that's it. And we're at minutes. I don't see any questions rung in, so if there are some, we'll catch them in a future broadcast. And I don't have any other big things I want to push or announce today. It's approaching last lap, last quarter for us in the seats, and I'm excited about the transition and looking forward to seeing how we get into and get through the summer.
Yes, sir.
Chief, any parting thoughts or shots for Friday?
I think with us having nothing big to push, that's a good thing. That's a good sign, usually.
It
That's
is.
one way to end the week.
2 weeks ago it was a big announcements, and last week it was a good pile-on.
Yes, sir.
I'm hoping that we'll get a few more big ones before the month of May ends, and I think one is potential, and I don't want to even allude to it, but I'm optimistic.
Yes,
Had a good visit in the Pentagon this Monday.
Yes,
so.
there's lots of info to pass along and make sure that it's distributed. But we also have next week we'll have our all call.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that'll be a
So
good
I'm
one.
going to talk to you next. So the next 2 weeks are two big events in this town hall broadcast slot. So next week is an all call. It's May 12th. If you want to visit us in person or attend in person, it'll be at the Base Theater. Plenty of room there. If you want to do a watch party someplace else, I encourage you to do that as well with your unit, your coworkers, or maybe even some family members. And if you can just join us individually, that certainly counts. The all-call topic is going to be May 12th will be the first day of what I'm going to call the new normal. Our president has undeclared the national health emergency for COVID on May 11th, and so May 12th will be the first day in that new world. I bet the sun will still come up, and I bet it will resemble a lot what today is. But we're going to really look at that, look at what we've learned, celebrate a few of the heroes that have helped get us through successfully into the endemic phase of this. And I look forward to meeting with you all there and seeing you all there next Friday. And then 2 weeks from now is our first quarter, I believe, if I'm doing the math right, first quarterly awards ceremony,
Correct.
which will also be broadcasting on the 19th of May. I will be on leave that day, so it'll be Chief and Colonel Caspers running those ceremonies and getting all the enjoyment of the happy faces across, catching their trophies and their bling.
So bring your team spirit.
Absolutely. We may draw a line against trucks outside the door and blasting their horns, but
That was actually pretty creative.
It was good, but I don't need any more veterans disability claims because of that. But good stuff. And then the Friday after that is the Friday of a 4-day weekend, and then after that we're into June, and I will not talk about the big day that is 2 June, but it's going to be a big event, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 to 4 weeks. All right, Chief. Anything else?
Nothing else, sir.
Okay.
Have a good weekend. Happy Friday.
Yes. Teammates, I appreciate you. I'm so blessed and so privileged. Chief and I are so blessed and so privileged to be supporting you as you are on the front lines here at the Center of the Aerospace Testing Universe, fighting in our combat domains, deploying today to fight tonight. making sure that we are fighting 24/7, 365 properly in cyber, and then really in the modernization fight, making a big difference for those that are going to replace us and our kids and our grandkids.
Yes.
So thank you for all you do in all those combat fronts and all those lanes each and every day. And with that, we'll sign off for now from the center of the Aerospace Testing Universe. See you next week.